Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the How to Better English podcast. I'm Liam.
And I'm Emma, and Liam, I'm particularly excited about today's topic because it is foundational to clear communication, yet often ignored until people feel they've hit a language wall.
Absolutely. Today, we are diving deep into mastering English pronunciation. We're not just talking about saying words correctly, we're talking about finding the rhythm, the music, and the confidence to truly speak English naturally.
That's right. We're going to look at common pitfalls, practice some tricky sounds, and explore the critical elements like intonation and rhythm that make you sound fluent, even if you're using simpler vocabulary.
Before we jump into the technical stuff, a quick favor. If you find this episode helpful, please take a moment to subscribe, like, or leave a review. Sharing our podcast is the best way you can help other English learners discover these tips and improve their own fluency journey.
Thank you so much for those shares. Now, Liam, let's start with the big question. Why is English pronunciation so notoriously difficult for so many people?
The root of the problem, Emma, is often the massive mismatch between spelling and sound. English is not phonetic like Spanish or Italian. We have words that look almost identical but sound completely different, and, conversely, sounds that can be spelled a dozen different ways. Think about, though, through BO and tough.
Exactly. And that inconsistency requires learners to move away from relying on their eyes and start trusting their ears and, crucially, their mouth. We have to train the articulators, the tongue, the lips, the jaw to produce sounds that might not even exist in their native language.
Let's introduce some key vocabulary right away. When we talk about clear speech, we often use three words interchangeably, but they have distinct meanings: accent, fluency, and enunciate.
Let's clarify those. When we talk about accent, we are referring to the distinctive way a person pronounces a language, often linked to their geographical region or their native language background. Having an accent is completely normal and natural. It's not something you need to eliminate entirely.
The goal isn't to erase your native identity, but to achieve clarity. That brings us to enunciate. To enunciate means to pronounce words clearly and distinctly. If you enunciate well, people understand you, even if you have a strong accent.
That's the core difference. Clarity is the goal. You can have a strong French accent, but still enunciate perfectly so that an American understands every word. If you mumble or run your words together too much, even a native speaker might struggle, and that's a failure to enunciate.
So, a quick practice exercise for enunciation. Try saying this sentence slowly, making sure every syllable is crisp. The careful caterpillar carried its cozy coconut.
Excellent. That makes you focus on the end of the words, the R sounds, and the T's. Now, how does fluency fit in?
Fluency, in the context of speaking, is the ability to speak easily and accurately. Many people confuse fluency with speaking quickly. You can speak quickly and still be completely incomprehensible if you haven't mastered pronunciation. True fluency includes that element of easy, clear communication.
So, mastering pronunciation is a prerequisite for real fluency. If you feel like native speakers always ask you to repeat yourself or they look confused, it's rarely your grammar. It's usually the segmental sounds, the vowels and consonants, or the suprasegmentals, the rhythm and intonation.
Let's tackle the segments first. We need to talk about vowels. English has far more vowel sounds than letters. We have 5 main vowel letters, but anywhere from 12 to 20 distinct vowel sounds, depending on the accent.
This is where the infamous confusion of the short I sound and the long E sound comes in, particularly for speakers of Spanish, Japanese, or Arabic, who might only have one sound for that region of the mouth. The classic example is ship versus sheep.
If you say, "I saw a nice ship," but you use the vowel sound from sheep, you've just said, "I saw a nice sheep," which changes the entire meaning. The short I sound, as in ship or sit, is made with the jaw slightly closed and the tongue slightly lower in the mouth. It's relaxed.
Compare that to the long E sound. As in sheep or seat, your lips are pulled back a little, almost smiling, and the tongue is higher and pushed forward. You can physically feel the difference in tension.
Another huge vowel pitfall is the A sounds. Think about cap a hat versus cup a drinking vessel. The A in cap is the short A sound, often called the cat sound. The jaw drops quite far, and it's a very open sound.
The U in cup is the short U sound, sometimes called the Schwa adjacent sound in American English. It's an incredibly relaxed sound. The mouth is barely open and the tongue is totally neutral. Say them out loud. Cap, cup, cap, cup.
If you can't hear or feel the difference between these minimal pair-ship sheep, cap, cup, bad bed, you need to dedicate serious time to listening and repeating. Minimal pair practice is the secret weapon for mastering segmental sounds.
Moving on to consonants. Liam, what's the number one roadblock we hear?
Undoubtedly, the TH sounds. English is one of the few languages that uses them so frequently. We have two sounds, the unvoiced TH like in think or three, and the voiced TH like in this or mother.
The difference is whether your vocal cords vibrate. For both, the mechanism is the same. The tongue tip lightly touches or rests just between the front teeth. Don't push too hard, just rest it.
To make the unvoiced U, just blow air over the tongue. Try 1,000 thanks for thinking of this thing. It's all air.
For the voiced TH, you keep the tongue in the same position, but turn your voice on. You should feel a slight buzzing sensation on your tongue tip. Try they bathe with their brothers and their mothers.
If you substitute the TH with THDS or Z, which is common in many language backgrounds, you might be misunderstood. If you say free instead of three, the listener waits for the bill, not the number.
Another challenging consonant set is the L and R sounds. For many speakers, especially those with an Asian language background, differentiating light and right or collect and correct can be very difficult.
The R sound in English is made by pulling the tongue root back into the throat and the tip doesn't touch anything. Try saying run, feel that retraction.
The L sound is the opposite. The tongue tip must touch the ridge right behind your front teeth, the alveolar ridge. Say light or listen. If you don't hit that ridge, it will sound closer to an R.
The solution for R and L is exaggeration during practice. Stand in front of a mirror and practice those minimal pairs until the position of your tongue feels automatic and distinct for each sound.
Now that we've covered the segments, the individual sounds, we absolutely must move on to the music of English. The suprasegmentals, these are stress, rhythm, and intonation. These elements truly distinguish a clear, natural speaker from someone who sounds like they are reading from a robotic script.
Rhythm is huge. English is a stress-timed language. This means we keep a relatively consistent rhythm by stressing certain words, content words, and squashing or reducing others, function words.
Compare this to syllable-timed languages like Spanish or French, where every syllable gets approximately the same length and weight. If a French speaker tries to use that rhythm in English, they sound choppy and unnatural.
The content words are the important ones: nouns, main verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Function words are tiny grammar words, articles a, the, prepositions in, at, conjunctions, and, but, and auxiliary verbs, is, have.
The magic element that allows English to maintain this rhythm is the vowel sound we mentioned earlier. The
schwa is the most common sound in the English language, represented by the phonetic symbol of sausla. It sounds like a lazy eeyore or a grunt. It's always
It is the sound of relaxation. In English, we are constantly reducing function words to the schwa sound so that we can rush past them to hit the next important content word. For example, the preposition to is rarely pronounced to, but is often reduced to t or just d when linked.
Take the sentence, I went to the store for some bread and milk. If you say every word clearly, it sounds slow and awkward. I went to the store for some bread and milk.
To speak naturally, we stress the content words went, store, bread, milk, and rush the function words to, the, for, some. And by using the schwa, the sentence should sound like, I went teethuk store for SCM bread bun milk.
That speed variation is the rhythm. If a learner says, I will go to the store, but they stress I and will and to, the listener has to work harder to find the meaning.
This leads us directly into connected speech and linking. Because English maintains this stress-timed rhythm, words constantly flow into one another. We don't pause between every word.
Linking happens in a few ways. The simplest is consonant-vowel linking. If a word ends in a consonant and the next begins with a vowel, they link. Example, take an apple. It sounds like take an.
Another common linking phenomenon is assimilation, where one sound changes to become more like its neighbor. The classic example is don't you. The T and the Y often merge to sound like a CH sound. Don't CHU or did you becoming did you.
This is a major barrier for listening comprehension too. Learners often complain that natives swallow words. We are not swallowing them. We are linking them and replacing the full vowel sounds with the schwa to maintain rhythm.
A good practice sentence for linking and reduction is, what are you going to do tonight? If you say every word clearly, it's 7 syllables.
But naturally, it's often reduced through contractions and schwa. What you're gonna do tonight? That's closer to 4 or 5 syllables.
Mastering rhythm and linking is truly a matter of training your mouth to be lazy with the unimportant words so you can emphasize the important ones.
Now, let's move on to intonation. If rhythm is the beat, intonation is the melody. It's the rise and fall of our pitch, and it carries crucial information, sometimes even more than the words themselves.
Intonation is critical for differentiating between statements and questions. In English, we typically use a falling intonation for statements and commands. The pitch drops at the end. I am going home.
We typically use a rising intonation for yes/no questions. The pitch goes up at the end. Are you going home?
If a learner uses a rising intonation for a statement, it sounds tentative, like they are unsure of what they just said, or like they are asking for confirmation.
Intonation also plays a massive role in showing emotion or attitude. If I say the word really with a high, sharp rise, it shows surprise or disbelief. If I say really with a low, drawn-out fall, it shows disappointment or sarcasm.
Intonation can also change the meaning based on which word you stress in a sentence. Let's take the sentence, I didn't say he stole the money.
If I stressed I didn't say he stole the money, it means someone else said it.
If I stress stole, I didn't say he stole the money. It implies I said he merely borrowed it or found it.
If I stress money, I didn't say he stole the money. It implies he stole something else, like the jewelry.
This is why intonation is non-negotiable for effective communication. It's the tool we use to signal emphasis, mood, and true intent. Listening closely to native speakers' pitch changes is essential for developing this skill.
So, we've covered segmental sounds, vowels, and consonants, and suprasegmentals rhythm, stress, linking, and intonation. How does a learner integrate this massive amount of information into their daily practice? Emma?
The most effective technique is called shadowing. This is where you listen to a short piece of native English audio clip from a podcast, a movie scene, or a news report and you try to immediately repeat what the speaker said, mimicking their exact rhythm, their pace, and their tone.
It's not just repeating the words, it's wearing the speaker's voice like a costume. Focus on the pitch, where they speed up, and where they reduce sounds to the schwa. Start with just 3 or 4 seconds of audio and repeat it perfectly.
You should also be recording yourself regularly. It's painful, but necessary. Use an app, record yourself reading a transcript, and then compare it side by side with the native audio. You will instantly hear your rhythmic mistakes and which vowels you are flattening.
Another tip is to isolate problem areas. If you know the voiced th sound is hard for you, find audio recordings focused just on that sound and repeat it 50 times a day for a week. Use tongue twisters related to that sound.
For rhythm practice, focus specifically on identifying the stressed words in a sentence before you say it. Underline the nouns, main verbs, and adjectives in a text, and make sure those are the only words you emphasize. Everything else gets the schwa treatment.
And remember the definition of enunciate? When you practice, exaggerate the clarity of your sounds. If you are struggling with final consonants, like saying friend instead of friend, make sure to forcefully articulate that D sound when you practice.
That exaggeration is temporary, Liam. When you move back to normal speech speed, the clarity will settle at a much higher level than before, making you easily understood, even in rapid conversation.
Finally, don't forget that pronunciation is deeply linked to listening. You cannot produce a sound you cannot hear. Spend time listening specifically for the subtle differences, like the difference between V and W sounds, or the difference between the three types of A in English.
To recap our core vocabulary and concepts today, we defined enunciate as speaking clearly and distinctly, which is the ultimate goal. We contrasted the long E sound sheep with the short I sound ship as a primary vowel pitfall.
We emphasized the importance of the two th sounds voiced and unvoiced and how to place your tongue to produce them accurately.
And crucially, we covered the suprasegmentals, understanding that English is a stress-timed language and that the schwa sound is essential for achieving natural rhythm and linking your words effectively.
Mastering English pronunciation is a journey, not a destination, but focusing on these core areas, vowels, key consonants, rhythm, and intonation will dramatically improve how clearly and confidently you speak.
We hope you found these tips actionable. Pick one technique today, maybe shadowing, and commit to 30 minutes of focused practice. You will hear the improvement almost immediately.
That's all the time we have for today's episode of the How to Better English podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
If you learned something new, please remember to hit that subscribe button and share this episode with a friend who is also trying to master the music of English.
I'm Liam.
And I'm Emma. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep getting better. We'll talk to you next time.